Hi, my name is Tasha, and I will be presenting Chapter 5 Motivating Behavior. Chapter 5 is full of information. It's broken into different subcategories. At first, it starts off by explaining motivation, and it provides an equation for motivation, which is performance equals motivation times ability times environment. It moves on to explain the historical views of motivation in organizations, which are the traditional human relations and human resource approach. The traditional approach suggests that a person will perform any job if the money is right. The human relations approach suggests that the social relationships are a bigger motivating factor than money. The human resource approach suggests that a person feel more valuable based on their contributions to the organization. Then they talk about task specific self efficacy. The text goes in and defines what that is. It also talks about the three dimensions. And then we move into the need based theories. The need based theories include Maslow hierarchy of needs, the ERG theory, the two factor theory, and the acquired needs framework. Out of all of these theories, I found the two factor theory very interesting and ironic, simply because this particular theory started out as an interview among 200 accountants and engineers in Pittsburgh, and now it becomes a theory, and I was kind of puzzled on how that happened. But as I kept reading, I also came across the statement that this theory has been scrutinized and analyzed more than almost any other organizational behavior theory. And I can kind of see why I did not understand how 200 people, a sample population of 200 people, could speak for, United States. But moving on. With the acquired needs framework, it talks about the need for achievement, need for affiliation, and need for power. It gives characteristics of each of people in each category for their need in organization. And after you view my PowerPoint presentation, it will be clear that you would categorize me as a person in the need for achievement. It also offers tips for successful managers when it comes to need for power. The next subcategory in this chapter is the process-based perspectives. And this subcategory, it talks about the equity theory, the expectancy theory, or the VIE theory. The equity theory basically is people believing that they're being treated fairly or unfairly in relation to others. The expectancy theory it suggests that motivation depends on how much we want something or how likely we are to get it. The expectancy theory was expanded upon by Porter and Lawler. That particular theory has been extended upon several times, and that model is a little complicated. So I'm just going to let you refer to page 191 of your book because I can probably confuse you even more. So let's not do that. The next subcategory is learning-based perspectives. And of course, chapter 5 is full of definitions. In the learning-based perspectives, they look at the views on learning, which are the traditional view and the contemporary view. They also provide the problems with the traditional view, and they also look at the contemporary view And next, we have the learning-based perspectives. The two perspectives looked at here are the traditional view and the contemporary view. Because of so many issues with the traditional review, we've moved away from that, but they still highlighted that, and I found that very important. And basically, if you look at the problems, which I do have listed in my PowerPoint, they should be centered around PowerPoint slides 24 through 26 or 27, I do believe. You would see why they moved to the contemporary view of learning. Next, you have the reinforcement theory, which is also known as the operant conditioning. That theory suggests that behavior is a function of its consequences. Basically, behaviors with positive consequences is more likely to be repeated. We move on to social learning, which suggests that social learning occurs when people observe the behaviors of others, recognize the consequences, and alter their own behavior as a result. We move on to behavior modification, which is an application of the reinforcement theory to influence the behaviors of people in an organizational setting. The text goes on to explain the different types of reinforcements, which are positive and negative. And it also explains how rewards come to play into your reinforcements. Then the text goes on to explain the continuous and partial reinforcement schedules. It also gives us tips on how to motivate right behavior. But last but not least, I also want you to remember the most important determinant of motivation is whether you believe you can accomplish the things you do. And we have to remember that different things motivate different people.